Oh, you got her, dude. She's down. Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Fall Obsession Podcast episode. Appreciate you guys joining us for another week. Once again, I am Sam Thrash, your Fall Obsession Podcast host. If you are a new listener, welcome. Appreciate you guys checking out the podcast, and I want to encourage you guys to hit that follow and subscribe button on whatever app you're listening on, because we bring out a new episode every single Monday morning. So we want to make sure that you guys get notified and are aware whenever new content drops. So be sure that you follow us on your podcast platforms, and I'll get into some of our other social platforms at the end of the episode, but want to make sure that you guys stay in tune with us. Here recently, in our recent weeks, we've had some recaps of some of the spring hunts that have been going on around us with some of our staffers and some of our friends. We've had a lot of turkey season recaps, some spring bear recaps as well. Some of those are pretty entertaining. All those are kind of within the last 8 to 10 weeks or so of our episodes, so I want to encourage you guys to go back and listen to those if you haven't already. But now we are kind of entering a phase where we're transitioning away from the spring hunting recaps and starting to turn our focus more towards the fall season preparation, if you will. We're looking ahead to deer season and to what some of our own staff and some of our close friends at Fall Obsession are doing to prepare their hunting properties for fall whitetail. So these next few weeks, we're going to have several different people coming on the podcast to talk about some of the stuff that they're doing specifically on their places in their respective areas. So this week, we have a guest with us. He's no stranger to our podcast, and that is our staffer, Kurt Eckelberry. Kurt, welcome back, man. Glad to have you.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for having me back on again.
Yeah, man. Like I said, you're no stranger to the podcast, and I think this is probably your 4th or 5th time to be hanging out with us on here. So if you guys haven't checked out any of Kurt's previous episodes with us, I'll give you a quick recap here. Episode 28. Ohio Whitetails is a good one to listen to. Episode 47, those are kind of the bookends to his whitetail season this last year. And then Kurt and his buddy Jeff Hasselbach came back on here, episodes 55 and 56, to talk about some spring turkey before the season. And then Jeff recapped a stud deer that he killed last year as well. So all those are good episodes to check out. But Kurt, we're going to start things off here this week. Like I said, kind of transitioning from that spring turkey to summer whitetail prep. But we'll let you kick it off with talking about how your spring turkey season went.
Yeah, I'm just glad I get to do a podcast about a successful hunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a few empty tags, but hey, it happens. We tried, had a pretty good season. Yeah, I'll just start off with we had some youth hunters this year. We plan on getting some youth hunts in, so we did a little preseason scouting for turkey, which I don't normally do, but I wanted to make sure they had a fair shot. So we set up in Ohio here, ground blind on a parcel that our family hunts, and me and a buddy went out the day before youth season and did a little scouting, had a hen and a real nice long beard, walked 20 yards in front of the blind. We thought, well, this is great. This should be pretty easy, and we went out. Been 3 of us the next morning, our youth hunter, and the birds flew down, and when you know it, go the other way. So it happens a lot, you know. Yeah, it's still a good experience. We got to hear a lot of gobbling, and I think we had some coyote footage, and they made their way across the property. It's kind of like 3 corners we hunt together, and they went across to another field where they normally go, and it sounded like there was a youth hunter over there, and he made a shot, or she made a shot. So it was just cool, you know. Some kid got one that morning, so
heck yeah.
But yeah, it's good, you know. But she was kind of like, "Hey, the neighbor's shooting our turkeys right now." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, that's something you're gonna have to learn to deal with. Your neighbors kill a lot of your animals sometimes." So, but
yeah,
it's good.
With smaller properties and stuff, you know, that's sometimes a harder thing to avoid, or when you're when you're close to at least the property line, it's kind of is what it is most of the time. So.
Exactly. Yeah, respecting the boundaries. I preach that. There's a lot of guys that don't see it that way, unfortunately. But it didn't get under my skin that the neighbor killed one. I was happy for them. Everybody gets their fair chance eventually. So
yeah.
Try to instill that into the kids too. At the same time that they're not always coming to you. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we continued to hunt Ohio a few more times. Same property. We only have one property that holds some birds. Messed around with them for a while. They kind of got the call shy thing going on there toward the end, and it was time. We had a trip planned for West Virginia. We went down there. Started off youth season down there with Lawton. You watched his video where he killed a doe. It was him. It was his turn to be up for West Virginia turkey. It was I think his first turkey hunt actually. We got into some birds down there. We hunted around our cabin property. Thought I had them figured out. We've had birds come in that area before. I just was trying to do a repeat of what we've had happen in the past. And boy, we worked this bird, and he was coming, and Lawton's face was getting brighter and brighter. He knew it was about to happen. I had the GoPro on, everything. I'm just waiting for a head to pop up, and he just turned and went the other direction. And I'm starting to learn with this property. And I've heard this from other people too, is like if there's obstacles in the way of these birds, sometimes they will not come over or around that. And then that's the situation with this property is, I don't know, if you ever seen like on the top of a mountain, sometimes it'll have like a rock outcropping or a shelf, and we have like a 15 to 25 foot crop around the whole property. So this bird was below that, and he was not coming up on top. So, down there, you got to kind of learn to be on what level they're going to be on, the high end or the low end, and try to get where they're at. Pro staffer Jason Wanling had the same situation. He said he was working a bird on a ridge, and he hung up at like 50 yards because there was a dead tree on the road, and he would not come across it, So
yeah,
it was kind of new for me. It took me a while to figure that out, why these birds weren't really playing the game, because they're not pressured down there at all. So there was no reason for them to come. But looking back now, you can see why. So
yeah.
We hunted youth season, and then Monday it was a Saturday Sunday youth season. We didn't kill anything. We came close. I mean, the lot was still ecstatic. He kept saying thank you. I've never had an experience like that, so that was cool, and we got it all on video. A lot of vocal, a lot of turkey talk on video, a lot of good audio, I should say. So I got up Monday, the main opener there, and I think he wanted to sleep in, so he hung back at camp, and I went on the new piece of property that I purchased, and I took a really nasty hike way back in, and turkeys were lit up that morning, gobbling like crazy, and the neighbor. I'd stop and talk to our neighbor. Thank God we have very great neighbors down there. And he's like, if you need to go back on our place, go ahead, dive back in there wherever you need to go. So I had that, reassurance that, I wasn't trapped to my little 44 acres. I could actually roam if I needed to. So I made it up the hill and just started listening to kind of see what birds were close. And I heard some way off in the distance, and I thought immediately, like, those are too far away. I'm going to keep moving. So I moved down toward the neighbor's piece. Where I knew I could get down in there if I had to, and those birds were lit up. And usually in Ohio, you'll have a real strong gobbling phase when they're on the roost, and then when they hit the ground, they kind of shut up. Well, it's getting later in the morning, and these birds are still hammering like they're on the roost, and it was confusing me. I didn't know if they were on the ground or not, so I started hitting the pot call, hitting some mouth calls. And I just sat down with the binoculars trying to see, are they in the trees or are they on these logging roads? I was just trying to get a visual on something.
Yeah.
And I ripped probably, 5-10 yelps off the slate, and 3, I guess you say toms, because they were just hammered and they were close. And I'm like, oh boy, like I'm in a bad spot. Like they're coming at me. I'm on high point. I just took off on a mad run, fast as I could down the logging road, and got below them and tried to cut them off basically. And I had my gun sitting on the ground, still trying to set the tripod up on the camera, and I hit the GoPro because I heard them, they're getting close, and I finally got the camera focused. And as soon as I picked up my shotgun, I seen a head. So it was that close. I didn't have much time to get set up. In the video, I had the sun in my face. That was the only option. In another 10 minutes into daylight, it probably would have blinded the camera and myself. But
yeah,
thank God they worked down this logging road, and put on a show. Didn't have a decoy, so they were kind of taking it easy. They didn't really have nothing to come running to. So you'll see in the video, I used there was a fallen over tree and it was kind of uprooted, and I kind of tucked behind that dirt ball there to break up my silhouette. And as soon as his head popped out the other side, I shot. But you'll look in the video, I shot about half of the tree stump off and still managed to kill the bird. So that was pretty cool. And I talk about it in the closing video there that this was my first year shooting a turkey choke. And I'd done some pattern testing this spring and just something new to do. But, who knows if I would have killed that bird without a choke. I don't know if the pattern was tight enough and it penetrated through that dirt and still took him out. But I was just telling a guy about that story, and I never found a BB1 in that bird. So I don't know. Who knows if it was a super lethal shot or not, But he did flop quite a bit after I got to him. I know the video showed that, but.
Well, got the job done for sure. So. Yeah.
Yep. I got back to camp and managed to take a lot out one more time, I think, before we left. So.
Awesome.
I used a mix of a bunch of different calls. I wish I could say I used our pot call that morning, but I do not think I did. I just remembered I grabbed one out of the top of my vest. The zipper was already open, and that was the one I used. So I wish we could have used our pot call because it is a good call. I do have some videos that I've sent in. You guys probably haven't got them yet, but of our pot call at work, and it does the job. I'll say that. Yeah, it's got a really good tune to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get that footage out so people can see that, and I'll plug it real quick too. Two things. First off, Kurt has referenced this video a couple times now. So a video of the turkey kill that he's talking about here, it is on our YouTube channel, Fall Obsession YouTube channel. It is titled Opening Day West Virginia Gobbler, self-filmed. Kurt's got several self-film hunts on our YouTube channel, and he does a really good job with them, and it turns out a pretty good production. So definitely worth the watch. One, if you're a turkey hunter and you want to see a good turkey kill, and two, if you want to see some just quick setup for the situation and a decent self-filmed hunt, then that's one to look at too. So check that out. And then Kurt also talked about our Fall Obsession turkey call. We do still have a few of them in our inventory. They're handmade by our pro staffer Adam Seitz up in Pennsylvania. Really good quality call, and right now with turkey season being over, we have it priced at a very affordable price, so you guys can go check that out as well at fallobsession.com. We have it in our online store, so go take a look at that as well. So
yeah, I'm always willing to tell people what gear I use or what new stuff I might have used that helped me be successful. So I shoot a Mossberg 500, and that was an extra full choke by Mossberg I used this year. And I've always been a Predator camo fan. I've had it for a long time, but I don't know, with COVID and some stuff, maybe some inventory issues were going on, and I couldn't find a new set of camo that I really wanted. So pro staffer Jason Wanling, he's a natural gear fan. So he told me, he's like, you ought to try natural gear. And he said, plus you'll be more like me if you do buy it. So I did purchase it. It is actually really good stuff. It's a very light material. Real quiet. It blends in really good. They do a really good job, and the pricing is for the average guy, I mean, it's not expensive at all. So that was another product I switched to. And another thing for me this year is I have never wore a turkey vest ever turkey hunting, and I broke down and bought one this year because I find myself getting older and losing stuff, and it's spread out everywhere. So yeah. I still might not know where it is, but at least it's in my vest, so I can say it's with me. So I bought the Alps. I think it's the Alps. I can't remember the exact model, but it's handy. I mean, I see why guys wear them now. It is worth it. It actually has in between your shoulder blades. I know some of these guys have this where you can pull out the bag, and that's actually for your decoy if you want it to be. But I found out it's best for mushrooms.
Huh. Very cool.
Put mushrooms in it. So we're not to a state where we have to have the bag that allows the spores to fall out. I know Michigan's like that. They have to carry, I think it's like a burlap sack. So the seed, that they can reseed themselves, I guess is how I understand it. So it works good at Ohio.
Good
so
deal.
Check your laws before you do use one of those, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Kurt, you've mentioned several products that you use, and I wanted to bring up to our listeners too, for those of them who might be newer and not as familiar with us or Fall Obsession. All the products that Kurt has mentioned here, and that he's talked about himself purchasing or acquiring, these are not really products that we have any kind of corporate partnership or anything like that with. So I bring that up just to convey that we are like y'all. We're blue collar outdoorsmen, and we buy and invest in a majority of our own gear right now at this time, and we do our best to share that information with y'all because we buy it, we invest in it, we field test it, and we prove that it works. And so we don't want to sound like we're trying to plug a product because we have to. There are some products that we are fortunate to have corporate partnerships with certain companies, but these products that Kurt's mentioned, he bought and invested in them on his own, and they're effective for him. So I'd hope that says something to those of you who may be looking for some new gear. So
Exactly. If it's junk, I'm going to tell you about it. It is. I know what it's like. This can be an expensive game. You know, we all try to do it, you know, affordably, but
yeah. And if our pot call was junk, Kurt would tell me too. So
yeah, right. Yeah, and it's not, man. I'm serious. Adam did a very good job on these, and I mean, everybody's asking me like, whose is that? Where'd that come from? Like Pinnacle View Calls. Get on our website and get it. So it was a good investment. Really cool call. So
yeah, it'll last you for years to come for sure.
Exactly. Some good solid wood.
Well, man, kind of moving into the second part of our discussion here, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's on your radar for getting geared up and getting prepped for the upcoming fall whitetail season. I know last year we did a podcast, and I think I mentioned it, the episode 28 titled Ohio Whitetails, and I don't know, it's probably roughly a year ago by now, coming up on it at least, and we're kind of in the same boat. You were setting the stage for your upcoming season, and you had a big deer on camera. Unfortunately, wasn't the one that you ended up bagging, but that's how it goes sometimes. But I wanted to talk to you and see kind of what's on your radar, and maybe kind of start off by talking about the areas that you have to hunt, not specific locations necessarily, but just what kind of landscape you're looking at, what opportunities you have to do certain things, and kind of what kind of deer you're expecting off of it.
Yeah, so the pictures from last year and the trail cam photos, I guess, of that bigger buck that I had, I'm back in that same spot. I just moved my mineral site this year. I probably should have done a little earlier. I was a little late to the game this year, I won't lie. I was pretty busy, but I just got my cell camera put back up, and that's a new thing for me going into this deer season is a cell cam. I did that more of, obviously detect when he's in there, but last year, by the time I pulled the card, he had already been there and he was gone doing his, to another farm doing his own thing. So if I would have been in there the first 2 weeks of season, I might have got a crack at him. So that's why I stepped up and I bought the Reveal Tacticam. It's been a solid camera. The batteries last forever. Mineral site's taking a little bit to get established. I'm getting a lot of does and finally some fawns. I've had some decent bucks pass through the property I hunt. It's kind of like a funnel. So I think that the bucks just kind of, and I noticed this during normal deer season, is they kind of just come through every 3 days. It seems like you'll get them for like a couple days and then they're gone for like a week, 3 days to a week, and then they come back. So the pictures right now are they're not as steady as they were last year. And that probably is my fault for moving the mineral site. But anyhow, that's a little 12 acre parcel I have that has some pretty good deer. And talking to the neighbors, they all kill some big ones in that area. So yeah, it's just Vapple mineral. I use Lucky Buck as well. Just keeping those fresh and try to get a little intel on what's going on with the size of deer at that place. Another property I've killed a lot of my deer on. I'm kind of shifting gears and letting some other, taking some other people in there. Hopefully, Lawton actually killed his doe. That would be that farm there. So we're going to try to maybe get a buck off that this year. And then my stepdad has a pretty good place to hunt there. We usually, when he's done hunting, we usually go in and try to fill the freezer with, there's sometimes some crippled deer left over. We got a buck right now that's got something stuck around his midsection. All the neighbors know about it. I imagine one of us will try to take care of him. I don't think he's going to turn out to be anything special, but it'd be a good first deer for somebody, or just get him out of his misery. I don't know if who knows if he's in pain or not, but eventually it's going to defect that rack, and I mean, it's just not humane to have something like that on a deer. We didn't really know how to approach it. I don't know what ODNR would even do, if we did get him involved, because he only comes through like every, I don't know, maybe once a month I get a picture of this buck. So that, I don't know, but we're going to try to take care of it, I guess. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but.
So when you say something stuck, what are you talking about?
So it looks like we've all taken guesses of it. Like my stepdad thinks it's a fishing net. It's like a metal. I don't know if it's metal. I can't even say what it's made out of. It looks like a hula hoop around this deer's behind its front legs.
Huh.
So you can only see the hair is kind of disformed from it. It doesn't look like it's squeezing him or anything, but he had to leap through this thing, whatever it was. So I got some pictures of it. I guess I can send in. They're not the best, but you get an idea. Like the first picture I got of him, it looked like a coyote was like jumping on his back, and it kind of blew me away, And then he turned, and I got another photo of him, and like I honestly could not tell what it was, but I finally got a daylight picture of him, and you can see both sides where it completely wraps around his body. So I don't even know what that would be. My guess was, I guess we could put this up and let people guess on it, really. If you ever look at like a 55-gallon drum, sometimes they have that lid that comes off and has that big metal band that goes around it to clamp.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Something off a feed barrel somewhere, or who knows what. But yeah, it's new to me. First time I've ever witnessed this, so kind of interesting. I mean, we'll put them on the ground if we can during gun season.
Yeah, we'll if you want to send those in, we'll throw them up on our Instagram story after this episode rolls out, and we'll give folks a chance to take a look at those, and they can send in what they think it might be. That's pretty strange.
It is, I've had thousands of trail camera photos, and occasionally you get a buck with something stuck in his horns, but not around his midsection like this. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah, so just basically getting inventory on my deer like everybody else, and basic minerals, and I might change a few stand locations. I use all Hawk products. Again, not affiliated with them. I use their Hawk climbing sticks, and I use Hawk stands. They're very quiet and lightweight, and they last. The pads are better to sit on, more comfortable. Running the Muddy trail camera arms this year I run a Sony camera, and then my GoPro attaches that as well. So I'm pretty basic really when it comes to, I don't get too fancy compared to most guys, but
I gotcha. What are some things that you like to consider year in to year out as far as things that you might look for or you've noticed in the past and have decided to change something off of? And I hope I'm wording my question right, but what are some things you look for year in and year out to adjust?
I'll just say I base a lot of my stand locations, like probably a lot of other people, is that late February, March era when there's no vegetation and you can actually physically see the deer trails a little bit more. I'm looking at track size still. I'm pretty old school looking at track size. And then I always take pictures of rubs during like the rut time, and I look at the size of them, how tall they are, what direction they're coming from. I kind of plug that into my strategy of where I'm going to put my stands. And thermals, I would say thermals trump anything really. Like you can get your stand sometimes in a really good spot, but sometimes you have to just pick a tree that's not the best location, but it's safe. It's safe to get into without getting busted, and you can exit without. And I tell you right now, that I wish I would have known this years ago, but I think the hunting public kind of started this, is the milkweed. That stuff changes everything for me. I carry so much milkweed with me, it's not even funny. That's like what I do the whole time I'm sitting there, just dropping milkweed, looking at these thermals. And because I hunt like a lot of bottoms, so it's hard to judge wind direction. But I notice in the mornings, you get that thermal rise. And I don't care which way the wind's coming from, you drop a milkweed, when that temperature's coming up, it's going straight in the air. And I got a lot of footage of deer last year just directly underneath my stand where the wind should be hitting them, and it's not. So I know it's a little off topic, but that, I'm pretty basic, man. Like I said, I don't really focus on too many things really to say where I'm going to set my tree stand. I don't know if that comes from just doing it for so many years. Like a lot of guys I go with, they can just say that's the tree, and I think I've lost the ability to kind of actually move around. I don't think I'm very good at moving around and picking different spots is my thing. I think I'm set in my old ways of how I've always done it. And that's why it's good to take a buddy with you, man. Sometimes they see something that you don't. Everybody has a different scenario every year. I get it. You have an unsuccessful year sometimes, and that sometimes isn't just the hunter. It's like there's a lot of factors that play into that, But I've always, tell a buddy what's going on or show them what they think. I usually take somebody in with me when I hang stands, and sometimes they'll say, well, you need to go 10 trees this way or 25 feet this way, So I'm always open for suggestions. But as far as tactics and stuff, I mean, it's trails, thermals, and trail camera. Let the trail cameras do the work too. So that's a game changer for sure.
Absolutely. So I have in here in my notes, the do's and don'ts is kind of what I titled this question, if you will. And mainly wanting to talk about some stuff that you've learned over the years from kind of managing or adapting to some of these smaller properties or these tracks, basically, because we have a lot of guys who, especially down the south, that might have their own deer lease, which could be several hundred acres, and then we also have a lot of guys who hunt smaller properties like that. What are some things that you might have learned by trial and error over the years for managing your pieces of property, and if somebody else is doing it, some stuff that they can either steer clear of or definitely try to take on?
This is like my thing is, I don't know why, but like if I'm hunting a small parcel and I'm bordered by 4 different pieces of property that people hunt, I instantly used to think that they're bad hunters and they're screwing up my situation. I've kind of learned to, you talk to a lot of hunters. There's a very educated hunters. I don't think people need to have the mentality that like that neighbor's ruining it for me or he doesn't know how to hunt. There's so much information out there now with YouTube and the internet and just, like I stated before, we used to get the monster buck thing, video once a year. Now you get on YouTube, you can get lost on that for hours of educational stuff, and everybody's doing it. The hunting public for sure is one. I mean, they have exploded because they're average people, and then they take the time to explain to you like why they did this or what the buck did this. So that's I guess a don't judge your neighbors. Maybe you get to know them if you can, but like have the mindset that they might be just as good a hunter as you are, and if you work as a team, it's not a big deal. And if they do shoot a big deer, don't be mad about it. There's always more. That's another thing. Don't get down if you see the neighbor shot some hog, a target buck, because they always new deer move in all the time. I've really learned that over the years, especially with trail cameras. Everybody gets set on that one buck, and then he's gone and you think it's over with, but then your camera explodes with 3 or 4 new bucks, that you hear that a lot on social media, like I've never seen that deer we just shot, or something like that. So, and another thing, I guess, I hope I'm sticking to the topic here.
Oh yeah.
I've always been the guy that's like, you got to be in the tree stand an hour and a half early, and if I was a half hour late, I wouldn't even go. But man, I've had guys that work some crazy schedules and they just can't do that. And they go out at like 8 in the morning when the sun's already been up, and then they kill 10 minutes into the tree.
Yeah.
It is all about the right place at the right time. That's another thing. Don't get hung up on, it just doesn't seem like the right time of day, I'm not going to go. I mean, that has its time and place, but if you can go, like with a work schedule, like most of us, you just want to go. Don't let the time of day discourage you. Just go do it, because you might get in the stand at 5 a.m. and you're not even killing until 10. You could have been there at 9, so Don't get hung up on time schedules. Like deer, everybody acts like deer are on a time schedule. They'll do what they want, Weather has a lot of effect on the way that these deer move. So.
Oh yeah. So kind of one of the last bullet points I have here that I want to talk about was just kind of, I know you talked about some turkey gear, and then you mentioned a couple of products that you're using this upcoming year. But as far as like managing and everything, Do you have any certain equipment or tools, products, anything like that you either used, and I'm talking about attractants, or even stuff that you use to plant food plots or do anything like that? Are there any particular tools or anything you'd like to mention? Because as I said before, we're blue collar guys, and we invest in most of our own stuff. So
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I just did make a recent purchase I'm pretty happy about. So we've always used for food plots, just mow it down, spray it. We use glyphosate, 41% glyphosate. You can get it in any tractor store. It's a real strong 2-week killer. And then the normal disc, just back and forth, back and forth. You got to understand, we're not farmers doing this. We're not buying the expensive equipment. And then ATV stuff, that's kind of light duty. So you got to kind of be careful you don't buy something too cheap, because the ground you're working is probably not, farm ground. It's, little pastures and little pieces of woods that you're tearing up. So this piece I just bought, not affiliated with them either, is Kuhn's Till Ease 43-inch, I think is what it's called. It's KUNZ, if anybody wants to look it up. They're like $2,500 new, but I found this one used. The guy said the motor didn't work. It's basically got, I think, 5 discs on the front, and then it's got the rippers on the back. It's 43 inches wide. You can use a 400cc machine and bigger. I tore the motor apart. It does work. It was a good deal. So that's going to West Virginia with me here this summer. I got about 3 acres of pasture down there. And this is another thing with West Virginia, is there's not much ag ground. It's more just hill terrain and hay country. So I would love to do clover like we do up here, but the deer down there have clover. So I'm going to do something different. Like, they don't have ag crops, your corn, your wheat, and your beans, any significant amount. They might have the neighbor's garden to go chew on, but I got 5 to 10 acres of pasture down there. So we're going to start doing a little at a time, like an acre every year. We're going down this year, probably August. We're going to do, this is pasture ground that's just been hayed, so it's tough underneath. This ripper, I mean, it's going to do okay. Basically, we're just going to knife in the radishes and the turnips is what we're going to do. And that's actually supposed to help with your tillage. So when those bulbs develop and get down into the soil, they expand the soil. And then if the deer don't eat them up, they still dissolve. And then you're left with looser soil. So the next year we'll go in and till it under again and plant probably soybeans. That's our plan. So
awesome.
That's a management practice for us would be, give them feed they don't have, something to pull them in, I guess, is like everybody else wants to do. But sometimes you got to look around too, what's around you. You can plant clover all you want, but if your neighbor's got 300 acres of clover field that he turns cattle or alfalfa even, you're not doing much different to your property. So,
well, good deal.
Yep, minerals and that tillage tool, that's a good deal there. I wish I would have bought one sooner. We would be down there doing it now, but we're getting kind of late in the year to be doing soybeans and stuff, so we had to kind of switch it up. I'm going to end up going with those turnips. So
yeah. Well, Kurt, I appreciate you coming on this week and sharing some of the stuff that you got going on, talking a little bit of turkey to kick things off. It's been good catching up, and I'm sure that we'll have you back on here before too long to talk about something else, either before bow season or into it. We'll see how the rest of the year unfolds, but appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. I want to throw one other thing in there.
Yeah.
Not to be a salesman, but everybody's out doing their summer hanging with the stands, and even with turkey season too. I know we're past that, but another product I used was Sawyers. It's like Sawyers. Other guys have used it. They did the clothes wash. Now they make it in a spray. That stuff will keep the ticks and mosquitoes off of you while you're hanging your stands. I just wanted to say that because I hung a stand the other day and it was absolutely miserable and got ate up. So just thought I'd throw that out there. We're not affiliated with them either.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing some free advertising here today. So
yeah. I guess I bought more products this year than normal, I guess, is why. But
yeah, when you start
like I say, man, if it works, I'll preach about it because I know what it's like getting ate up, ticks and mosquitoes, man. Everybody's out trying. That's what, everybody wants to get out in the woods and get started on this stuff. And it's getting time, where guys are going to start getting serious about it. But man, those bugs don't let up. So I thought I'd throw that out there. Sawyers, if you haven't tried it, the stuff works.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Awesome. Well, guys, we're keeping it short and sweet again this week. I appreciate you guys tuning in to another week on our Fall Obsession podcast. Like I said at the beginning, if you have not already, hit that follow and subscribe button on whatever podcast app you're listening on. We are on all major podcast platforms, as well as YouTube, and our episodes can also be found on our website, fallobsession.com/podcast. On that same page, there is a online form or feedback form that you guys can fill out. Just send us some general comments, ask questions, or any kind of discussion over our podcast. We take criticism constructively. If there's something that we can change, something we can do better, we'd love to hear about it. Or if you guys know somebody that we should have on here, please send them to us through there, or you can message us on our social pages. Our website, fallobsession.com, is our hub. That's where you can find all of our highlighted content, videos, photos, gear reviews, a lot of gear reviews on there, educational articles, some wild game recipes. We got a lot of different stuff on there. We also have an online store where we sell the turkey call that's been plugged earlier, as well as our own apparel and decals if you want to support a small hunting business. Be sure that you go check us out at fallobsession.com. We got a new American Pride t-shirt on there for some summer apparel. It's pretty sweet, so be sure you guys go check that out. And follow our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got some new video series in the works, so we're going to try to be having a lot more, not just entertaining, but also educational hunting and outdoor content on our YouTube channel. So be sure that you go over there, subscribe, and check out some of our videos. And other than that, that's about all I got for you. As I said before, we're going to be bringing some more kind of fall whitetail preparation type content to our podcast here in the weeks to come. So looking forward to doing something like that. So Kurt, thank you again, man. I appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your day today.
Hey, I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure getting to talk about hunting anytime.
Heck yeah, anytime you can talk about hunting is a good time. So
That's right.
all right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you guys again next Monday for another Fall Obsession podcast episode.